my name is Jessica and welcome to Makeup.misfit and welcome to a panels eyeshadows update, which I'm so excited to get into with you guys. But before I do, all of the information for this project will be down in the description box. So the way that I work on things, my guidelines, who created this, which was Alexy, all of those fun things, everything will be down below. So for me, this project is very flexible. I want to work through my collection the best that I can, but I don't want to really have any set rules in case I come into a situation that I feel like I'm in right now, which is just a little bit of a rut with a couple of eyeshadows. So when I actually start to go through my eyeshadows, I will talk about that more then. So more or less, I don't want to have any specific like usage goals or time frames that I feel like I need to keep a shade in before I can actually roll it out. If I want to roll a shade out, I'm gonna roll it out. My goal is not always to hit pan on all of the shades, even though that is what this project is titled. I do feel like for myself, a lot of my collection is either too new to hit pan or it's just not been used enough to actually get to that point in a decent amount of time. I definitely could if I was like completely focused on it and just concentrated and made sure that those were the only shades that I used. I am trying to not pull in too many eyeshadows into some of my other panning projects, but it's happening. I do have a couple of other eyeshadow based projects, so I do want to spread my focus out. So as long as I'm getting good use, or as what I feel is good use on my collection, then I'm happy with what I'm sitting at. So the way that I do this project is I'm rolling I'm working on 4 shades at a time, and 3 out of those 4 shades come from a palette, and then the 4th is a single. So the 3 shades that come from a palette, when I'm rolling those shades in, I actually generate a letter from the alphabet to determine the shade that I will be working on. So say I randomize the letter S, I will go to my list that I have everything written out in this massive notebook because I have not switched anything over to a spreadsheet. I tried, but I don't think I'm actually going to do that. But anyways, I go to my letter S's in there and I see how many shades there are. So say there's like 12 of them, I will randomize 1 through 12, count down, and whatever number I happen to get, that will be the shade that I will be working on. So I find it a fun little twist. I actually really enjoy that portion of this project. Whereas most people, they just randomize 1 through however many numbers, and then that's the shade that they end up working on. I really feel like the alphabet just kind of like throws a really fun twist, but a really fun way of doing it, and it keeps me motivated to actually continue to want to do this project, to be honest. And then my 4th shade, which is the single, that is something that's going to be rolled out every single month no matter what. So I just really want to get used on my singles, as that was a huge part of my collection that was neglected. Not that I had a lot of singles, but I just never reached for them. I was always just gravitating towards eyeshadow palettes. So I do want to get used on some of my singles. I have purchased a few more new ones, so those will be in my palette, but not necessarily rolled in. I'll explain that later as well. But I will always at least be randomizing 1 shade, which is the single, and then the other 3, I will just see how I go, how I feel. And like I said, I don't want to keep them in here if I don't want to work on them. So this is what my color story was like last month. So I have the green shimmer from the Zulu palette by Juvia's Place. This is the Lethal Cosmetics Undone from Velvet Dusk palette. This is No Mistakes from the Essence Bronze This Way. And this single is Pink Champagne from ABH. So let's get into discussing this color story and what this past month has been for me. So first, we're gonna start off with the green shimmer from Juvia's Place, and also when I swatch the shades out on my hand, they kind of go from like oldest to newest in some sort of way. So the Zulu palette, the green shimmer shade, this is what it is looking like right now. So as you can see, there's definite usage in there, and I believe I've used this shade 12 times. I took a peek on my tallies on my phone before I started filming. I kind of stopped. I was using my other phone to keep track of usages as well, but because I would like have to go from this phone to this phone, and I kind of forget to ever update that one. So nonetheless, I've used this about 12 times, and my goal for this one, as of last update, I said I just wanted to make a decent dip in it. And it's not as deep as I would like, but honestly, I really have not been reaching for this shade, and I do have another green shimmer that I would get the exact same use out of. Like, I would use it the exact same way, and a part of me wants to use that shade because it's kind of in a project. So I think I have gotten a lot of good use on this, considering this was a palette that I never really reached for. And if I did, the only shade was this pink one right here. And I feel like this has a little bit more of a dip than this one does, even though this one probably has more use on it. And just by the looks of it, this one, like the brush or my finger that I was using, is more focused in one area. So I am happy with this. I would like to continue to work on it, but I'm going to do that outside of this project. Like I said, I want to work on the other green shimmer that is in another project. And after I hit my goal on that green shimmer, maybe I will come back to this one and continue to work on it, because I did enjoy it. I really do like using it as an inner corner. That is pretty much the only way that I have been using it. So all 12 times. I was actually going to do it today, and then I just never did for some reason. I used something else. So unfortunately, I didn't get a use on this today, but we are sitting at 12 uses, and I'm really happy with that because I didn't even think I would get that far with this shade. So this one will be rolling out, and I will be rolling one shade in to take its place. The next shade is Undone by Lethal Cosmetics, and it's their Velvet Dusk palette. And when I first rolled this one in, I was super nervous because this is a darker palette, but the shade was a lot brighter than I thought it was going to be. So this is the shade right here. That's what it's looking like. And my goal last month was just to wear away the embossment. But again, I'm getting really burnt out and tired of the purple. And I think I've been working on so much purple since December, really, because that palette is a purple palette, that any purples, I'm just wearing myself out. So I have used this 10 times in total, which is pretty good. And I've been wearing this one with that green shimmer from the Zulu palette. And again, if I really wanted to, I could reach for this green shade. This is not the one that's in another palette, but I could get the same use with just one palette. So I really have not, I've reached for this just the other day, but I have not been reaching for it much whatsoever. I tried to wear away the embossment a little bit by focusing my brush more into the center of the palette. I do feel like if that's where I focus my brush the whole 10 times, it probably would have been worn away a little bit more. But I was really just focusing, I think it was this corner, one of these two corners in the bottom, and that's why it's just not as worn away as it could be. So unfortunately, this one will not be rolling over to the next update either, which is exciting but sad at the same time because I didn't necessarily hit my goal on this one either, but I'm excited to roll something else in its place. So next is No Mistakes by the Essence Bronzed This Way palette, and that's this one right here. When I rolled it in, it was brand new, had not touched it, and right now we have 9 uses on this. And if you can see the little line, I've been using this in my brows. Not every single time. I do try to throw it into the outer corner a couple of times, but for the majority of it, I've been actually using it in my brows or trying to do both. So I don't know if I'm going to continue to use it in my brows or not. I do feel like it's a little bit too red for that. So we'll have to see how it turns out, or what my next shades are going to be, and how I decide I want to continue to use this. But I do feel like if I focus on this one a little bit more, I might be able to get this out by the next update. My Coral Me Maybe palette that I had in here last update, I was able to roll out. It was in here for 2 months, and it only took me 16 uses, and I'm sitting at 9 right now. So just over that halfway point. So we'll see if it takes any more, any less, or the same amount of times to hit pan in this palette, which is I'm really curious about because this one has been brand new. I think the Coral Me Maybe shade that I was working on had some previous use on it. So it might take more than 16, but that's okay. I'm really looking forward to this one. And this one I do want to hit pan on, so I feel like this one's going to be in here for just a little bit longer. And then last but not least is my single. This was the ABH Pink Champagne shade, and I used this one 8 times. So this is what it's looking like. There really isn't a whole lot of difference in this shade from what it was last month, but I really don't expect a whole lot of change in my singles just because my goal is just to use it and 8 times is definitely good. The average has been about 7, so I'm definitely sitting at the same spot and I'm happy with that. I was using this quite a bit for a small duration of from the last update, and then I took a bit of a break from it, and then I dipped back into it, and I actually really enjoyed pairing this with the lavender pink shimmer shade that was in my Kaleidos Astro Pink palette. That was in I think that was my Alice in Wonderland project, and I really liked pairing those two together on the lid, so I got some use out of both of those palettes by doing it that way, and I really enjoyed that. So I may do that later down the line if I ever come to think of it, but I'm very happy that I'll be rolling that shade out as well. So that's what the color story is looking like. The only one that will be staying in is this brown shade right here. I will be randomizing 3 new shades, which I'm very happy about. So I'm just going to get rid of this right here. I am going to randomize the shades. So I will be randomizing 2 different letters. And for myself, I don't really care if I get the same letter more than once. It's more or less just trying to work through my collection and just see what I end up getting. So we are going to reset this because, like I said, I don't care if I get the same letter more than once. So I have 26. I don't have anything for the letter Z. I did roll that in. I think it was one of the last couple of updates, and I don't even have a shade that begins with Z. So I'm going to keep it in here, but if that happens to come up again, I will just re-roll. So our first letter is B. Ooh, interesting. And O. Okay. B and O. So now I'm going to go and figure out my lovely notebook here. How many shades I have that start with the letter B. Oh, I have 32. That's lovely. Okay, so here's my B's. There's 32, so this is only some of them. So I'm going to randomize 1 through 32. This might take some time to figure out what we're going to be working with. And the shade that I'm getting is number 20. Okay, I'm going to, instead of just counting on camera, I'm going to pause this real quick. I'm going to figure out what shade it is, and I'll be right back. Okay, so number 20 is Burning Desire by Pat McGrath, and it's the Bronze Temptation palette. So I'm going to have to go find that, figure out what shade that is. But before I do, we still have one more letter, which is the letter O, and I don't feel like I have that many. I have 13, so that's not too bad. So O, and I have 13, so let's randomize 1 through 13, and I will figure out what shade I will be getting. 1 through 13, yeah, that's right. Okay, so 1 through 13, number 2. Oh, I was totally looking at the wrong letter. Number 2 is Outfit Rememberer by the ColourPop and Lizzie McGuire palette. Okay, that's exciting because I actually haven't really used that palette all too much. So before I go grab those palettes, I am going to randomize a shade out of my singles, but actually I'm going to go grab those palettes because I'm missing 2 singles because they're not magnetic. They're just in their own compact and I forget them every time. So I'm going to go grab the 2 palettes. I'm going to go grab those 2 singles, and then when I come back, we'll randomize the single. I will take a look at what shades I'll be working on and we'll go from there. So I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. So I have my 2 singles. So like I said, my magnetic singles are all in here. So this is what she's looking like right now. I take the ones that I'm working on out of here and I put them into a different magnetic palette. And then these are the 2 that I have that are in little compacts. So I have, let's see how many I have first. Oh, that was upside down. So what I'm going to do is when I randomize, I'm excluding these 4 shades down here. So these are the new Gimme Glow singles that I bought. But I do have them in my... What did I put them into? My Alice in Wonderland project, I think. So because these are being worked on and they're a little bit bigger and they won't fit into this palette because I have a couple of other singles in here right now that I am working on. This is where my ABH one is sitting in. I'm just not going to include them. So it's only going to be up until this row and then adding in these 2 here. So I have 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Oh. This one's not magnetic, so it falls out. Okay, so 5, 10, 15, no, 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and then this one will be 19, and this one will be 20. So I'm going to randomize 1 through 20 and figure out what single I'm working on. If this ever wants to work. Okay, 1 through 20. Number 13. Okay, so before I take a look at what number 13 is, let's get to these palettes. So my Bronze Temptation palette, because that's what it was, right? Yeah, is this. They're working on the house next door and they're making a lot of noise. Okay, so this is the Bronze Temptation palette. This was a Christmas palette. I don't remember what year it was. What are they doing out there? And the shade is not on the front. So what did I get? Burning Desire. So that's the second shade. But what is the second? Oh, okay. Okay, that's not so bad. So the second shade is this one right here. So I think that's manageable. I'm okay with that. I have dipped into this palette a little bit just for a couple of the shimmers, but it's been a very long time. So I really have no idea how long it's going to take to hit pan on this. So I'm just going to work on it, see how I feel about it over the next month, and then the next update determine what I want to do with it. So that is the very first shade. Actually, I guess I should swatch these. Duh. Okay, so first I'm going to swatch. I'm so all over the place today. What is going on with me? Okay, so this is No Mistakes. I'm just gonna blend that one out a bit. And then we have, these two will be nice together. So that is Burning Desire. Then Outfit Rememberer. Ooh, what is this one? Oh, that's a pretty shade. Okay, I'm excited about this one. So this is Outfit Rememberer, and I feel like I will be able to use this one, no problem. It might take a while to hit pan, especially since I'm working on the pink that's in those Give Me Glow singles. So there's going to be a lot of pink, but that's okay. I really like that shade. I'm very excited about it. So those are the 3 shades from my palette. And then number 13, what is this one? Because I'm looking forward to this one too. Oh, it's by Natasha Denona. So it's one of her little singles. I can't remember what palette this came from. It was a promo code off Sephora, and it came from one of her palettes. But this is what the shade is. This is what it looks like. So my color store is very neutral with a pop of pink, but you know what? I'm okay with that. I need something that's a little bit easier. I do have a lot of color going on right now, which I'm okay with. Don't get me wrong, I'm very okay with that. But I do feel like I need just a little bit of a change. And even though this is very neutral, I'm still okay with it. Even though it's going to be summer pretty soon, I'm okay with this. So I'm ready to work on this and see what next month is going to be. I do feel like I'll be able to hit pan on this one. It is a very thin pan, so I do feel like hitting it is not going to be much of an issue. I don't know what it's going to be like to hit pan on this, but it's probably going to be in here for a couple months, and I'm okay with that. And then as for these 2 shades, I do feel like No Mistakes is probably going to have pan before Bronze Desire, but we'll have to see how it goes. I have a lot of neutrals because I do have my Cindy Grace that I just rolled into my Are You Afraid of the Pan? That's in Iced Mocha, so that one's a very light neutral, which I feel like I'll be able to blend these out, no problem with that. So I'm really looking forward to just some simple eye looks and looking at what the next few weeks is going to bring. So that is it. Again, my 4 shades, very neutral, but I'm very okay with that. So I'm just going to swatch this off now because why not? And that is it. So thank you guys. I really appreciate it. I really do hope that, I know this update was all over the place and I'm a little all over the place this morning, but it is what it is. I got through this video, so I'm going to end it before I keep on rambling about who knows what. And I will see you guys all later. Bye.